We're going to look here at mathematical modeling. There are many applications that involve data that is periodic. So to develop a mathematical model for data that appears to be periodic, we will begin by plotting some points. Often the data will follow a sine or cosine curve. So what we've got to figure out is amplitude, horizontal stretch, shrink, and so forth from the curve that we get plotting the points. But before trying an application of this, let's construct a formula based on being given amplitude, period, phase shift, and vertical translation. Okay, now we're going to construct a cosine curve with amplitude 3, period 4 pi, right phase shift pi over 2. So notice, and a vertical translation. Notice that the amplitude and the vertical translation are easy. Period is 2 pi over b, so we found out that b is 1/2 because we were given that the period was 4 pi. 2c is pi over 2, c is pi over 4, and so we filled it in. Now to get a good look at it, and if you need to, stop, back it up, and check how we did that again. But here's a professionally drawn graph of our function 2 plus 3 cosine x over 2, and so forth. All right, here's the problem we're going to work. Copy this set of data down, and the first thing we're going to do is take our calculator and plot the data. We'll be making a scatter plot. Then, all right, now then, let me help you with this calculator. Go to lists and spreadsheets as you saw. If you need to stop the video and back it up, do so. First thing we're doing is going up there to A and B and putting in that we're going to name the variables X and Y. Okay. Now we're going to come on down in these columns under X. We're going to put that data that we were given in that table. So be careful with your data entry. There's nothing worse than getting the wrong data. All right, you're going back up, you're going over here, and you're going to put in the Y values for the data. Oh, look, isn't it beginning to look periodic? 1.5, 0.5, 1.5. Ooh, good clue here. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is plot that scatter plot. All right, so go back to your home screen and click on plot. All right, menu, graph, and notice we want a scatter plot. So we're going to click right there for the scatter plot. So X, and we'll put in a variable and hit variable and choose X. Okay, and I hit enter, and you're not supposed to. I should have just down arrowed so that I could then hit variable and put in Y. Now the next thing we're going to do is enter, and you notice we can't really see our points. So we're going back here to the menu and we're going to zoom data. Now do you see that it looks like, hey, a cosine curve? So the graph appears to be cosine. It has a vertical translation of a half a unit up, has amplitude of 0.5. Now we've got to figure out the period and phase shift. I got an idea. Stop the video and go through this and make sure you understand it. Notice it begins at x equal 1 and x ends at 31. So we've got 30 there. So b will be 2 pi over 30, or b is pi over 15. Now we need to find c, and so you can deal with it. You know the formulas, and so here's your mathematical. Okay, we found it using the other calculator. Now let's look at this. Hit the home button and go in and find what's called the data matrix editor. All right, and hit new, and then we're going to come down here and I'm sorry, hit data, then come down here, and we have to give it a name. So just give it a name, and you notice how we've got columns C1 and C2. This is slightly easier to use than the CX, CAS, or the Inspire. So get your data in, be careful that you get it in right, put your X's and your Y's in, Notice we didn't have to go up and call them C1 and C2. Excuse me, X and Y. We're going to use them as C1 and C2. Did you kind of notice how periodic some of that data looked? Good, good. Now after we get that, hit the F1 key, and you notice the plot type is scatter. Now where's X? Well, X is in C1, so type in C1. Okay, where's Y? Well, Y is in C2, so you're going to type in C2, and then you're going to hit enter. Now, do you see there that it's got a list of your plots? All right, now we're going to hit F1. Oh, I check and make sure you don't have any other plots in there. Okay, but now let's go back here and hit F2 because we want a graph. And so we're going to zoom data, and there's our points. All right, looks like a cosine curve, don't you think? Seems to have a vertical translation of a half a unit, an amplitude of half. If you need to, stop the recording and go through all of this and make sure that you understand it, because what we've got here is that our mathematical model will be zero point 0.5 plus 0.5 times the cosine of pi over 15x minus pi over 15.